That is still one of the greatest sounds I have ever heard in my life. The ancestors of the Belmont family are doomed to confront the power of evil incarnate, Dracula. In 1917, a countess sought to revive the long-dead spirit of the vampire. Her name was Elizabeth Bartley. To revive him, she needed to travel all over Europe, enlisting help from all the powers of darkness. Two young vampire hunters set out to fulfill their destiny, push back the evil hordes, and drive the vampire back into his dark netherworld. And that is the setup to Castlevania Bloodlines on the Sega Genesis. A really good game. I grew up with this game and I have a lot of fond memories of this one. Let's get started on what makes Bloodlines a bona fide classic. Right off the bat, you get two different characters. There is no hostage situation like in Castlevania 3 or in Rondo of Blood. No, you get two in one package deal. So I'm gonna start off as Eric Lacard. What a horrible night to have blonde hair. I am absolutely furious! Let me change my hair to green real quick. There we go, that's much better. Bloodlines is still a very traditional action platformer in that if you pick a certain character, you're staying with that certain character until the end of the game. Which is why, through the power of my editing, and also two different playthroughs, I've incorporated both John Morris and Eric Lacard into one playthrough, because hey, I just love these guys, okay? Starting with Eric Lacard, what I'm actually gonna do is pull up a fan page on Eric Lacard to get some more information on him. Eric Lacard was born in Segovia, Spain on May 3rd, 1892. His time of death was 1942, and he is currently 25 years old in this game. His alternate name is The Wind. Eric does have a family, or at least he did. You got Gwendolyn, his former lover, and Stella and Loretta Lacard, his two daughters. What happened to him is quite unclear, but it seems like they're dead. And he's a childhood friend of John Morris. Oh wow, that's actually good to know. That makes me feel better. Eric's weapon of choice is the Alucard spear, but he's not just limited to that. He's also got boomerangs, knives, crosses, holy water, the whole works. And he's also very adept at magical skills and martial arts skills too. He can also perform a ritual to unlock the true power of Vampire Killer, the Whip, which in turn can actually help out John Morris. Well, not in this game, but in the lore. And side note here, this game is extremely gory and it's awesome. General audience for the win. Anywho, yeah, this game was actually rated general audiences in the West, and they didn't even censor it, because Sega was just that damn awesome. Europe did not escape this treatment though, they still got censored. Poor Europeans. You want to know how badly the Europeans actually got screwed on the censorship on this game? They couldn't even use the word blood. This game was titled Castlevania: The New Adventure in Europe, and that's kind of a stupid title. It is dumb, but I digress. Eric's playstyle is more or less on par with Castlevania 4 of Simon Belmont, except with a few limitations. For one thing, he cannot swing his lance any direction he wants in midair. He can do it while on the ground, just not in midair. Eric also has a super jump which you can activate by crouching and then pressing the jump button. Very useful, you can get to a lot of places John Morris can't, and you also get invincibility frames out of it. Like right here, if I was John Morris I have to climb all the way up there, but as Eric, fuck that noise, I can just super jump. Eric is by no means the easy mode of this game like Maria is for Rondo of Blood. Oh no, there are some bosses where they will give Eric a run for his money basically. And some bosses John Morris will just have an easier time with, but it's also vice versa. Eric will have an easier time with some of the bosses where John Morris will just struggle a little bit. But hey, that's what makes this game awesome. Balancing. I know there's a bit of a debate about Eric being the better character, but no, both characters are useful in their own ways. Actually, I argue that Morris is the better character over Eric because he's got the whip, and not only just the whip, he does more damage. Eric's got more mobility, reach, and quickness with the spear, but does less damage with it. Think of it as in fighting terms, you got the speed character who will dominate everything if you know what you're doing, and then you got the heavy-hitting brawl character who, again, will dominate everything if you know what you're doing, but in a different way. Now here's the first boss of the game, the Armor Battler. He's got a couple of different strategies, and most of those strategies incorporate the axe or the spear in some way. The good thing about the Armor Battler is the more that you fight it, the more and more it just breaks apart. You see, I already got rid of its axe and its right arm. My lance! It's the first boss of the game. You shouldn't have too much trouble with either Morris or Eric on this guy. He's a cakewalk. Can we get a dramatic Castlevania pose? Fuck yeah! The timing is a bit off for the freeze frame in this game, I will admit. But you can still do it. You can still do the dramatic Castlevania pose. Now here's the password screen, which is only in the American version from what I've found, because, side note, I did play the Japanese version for Morris's playthrough, and I've noticed there is no password feature in the Japanese version. Kinda strange, but what are you gonna do? But the password feature, you don't really need it. This is actually one of the shorter Castlevania games, much to my surprise, because I was thinking it was longer. I thought it was longer, but no, this is actually shorter than Castlevania 3. Bizarre. There are 6 stages in the game, and though admittedly they are longer stages than any other Castlevania game, they are still short. So, yeah. I also like the reflection on the water, and the reflection on the water is so good that... Hold on, I will pause it in a second, here we go. The pause actually reflects off the water. Fourth wall break, Castlevania's not real. So much care and detail went into this game. This is still one of the best looking Sega Genesis games of all time. It even beats out Super Castlevania 4 and Rondo of Blood in the graphics department. Though to be fair, Super Castlevania 4 is a launch window game for the Super Nintendo, and Rondo of Blood isn't really a 16-bit game, technically, because PC Engine, Turbo Graphics, they use kind of weird technology for that console. And this is a later Sega Genesis game, so that's kind of to be expected. And yes, I know, I'm a Sega kid. I love my Sega Genesis games, especially the ones that came out in 1995. But this game, it looks so good. It looks good. But enough of my rambling, let me get to John Morris's profile on the fandom page. Just give me 1 second. John Morris was born in Texas, USA. Where in Texas? It doesn't say, it just says Texas. Great big old Texas. And he was born on December 12, 1895. His date of death is the early 20th century, not specified. And his age currently is 22 years old. Hold on, I'll get back to that subject. This guy is pathetic. You whip him a couple of times, he's dead. He's rising the water level, so you have to kill him quickly. And there are more bosses here, so get ready. Alright, here's the second boss of this little section right here, the Flail Armor, who is pretty pathetic as well. He just swings over your head, which gives you ample opportunity to swing at his crotch. Go back to the junk heap. That's not over yet. We got the Axe Armor, who is actually kind of tougher, but still easy. You just hit him, jump away, hit him, jump away. Pretty simple. And he'll try to jump at you, which... good job, buddy, you missed. Now die. Alright, back on subject. John Morris's family is Quincy Morris, his father, and he'll eventually get busy. After he gets busy, Jonathan Morris, his son. and also the playable protagonist in Castlevania Portrait of Ruin. Eric is obviously John's friend because John is Eric's friend, of course, stating the obvious there. And his weapon of choice is the vampire killer, his sub-weapons, and the water dragon. You see that little sphere at the top of the screen? That's the water dragon. And that name, no, not John's name, I'm talking about Quincy. Quincy Morris may actually ring a bell, because he's not a Castlevania character, oh no. He first appeared in the actual Dracula novel from Bram Stoker, 1897. So, this game has ties to the Bram Stoker novel. It's kind of shocking, actually. In the book, Quincy did battle with Count Dracula. Oh, spoiler alerts, this is a 130-year-old book. But Quincy did defeat Count Dracula, but was gravely injured. I don't even think he lived to have a son, so... John Morris is a product of Castlevania. Do not steal. And a good thing they rewrote Quincy's existence into the Castlevania lore, otherwise that would be kind of anticlimactic. Quincy still dies, but he had John before the battle with Dracula, so... John's still good. I like how they incorporated stuff from what seems to be not really relevant to this source material book, and incorporated it into the source material anyway. It kind of reminds me of a certain character from Blaster Master. They were in the book, and then later on they just got incorporated into the Zero series. It's really bizarre. Check out my Zero playthrough. No, I'm kidding. So in terms of backstory, I actually give the backstory to Eric. He's got, even though I like John's backstory, I give it to Eric because it's more tragic. I like the fact that his family were turned into vampires, and it's just sad, and Eric needs all the support in the world right now. But John is also cool because he's got ties to the Dracula novel, even though he's not a character in said novel. And he's also the father of one of the coolest characters in the Castlevania series, Jonathan Morris. Jonathan motherfucking Morris. Love that dude. I know this is actually too late to mention this because of all my rambling about the Castlevania lore and Dracula and all that shit. If you go headlong into the water, like if you get completely submerged in water rather, you will die instantly. Here's the second boss of the game, the Golem. He's easier to deal with John Morris. Even though you can still take him down with Eric, no problem. John Morris can swing his whip upwards diagonally if he's in the air. Not so much luck if he's on the ground. He can just swing it straight ahead, but not up on the ground. Use John's mid-air whip controls in order to hit this guy in the face and the torso. Just like the armor battler from the first stage, the more you hit this guy, the more he'll break apart. Again, nice attention to detail with this game. They didn't have to incorporate battle damage, but they did. And another thing I like is Golem clutching his face every time I'm bringing the pain. It's like, oh, stop! Ow, my face! Stop! Enough! Time out! Time out! I cannot say this enough. I love this game. It is freaking awesome. But that's going to be the end of part 1 of Castlevania Bloodlines. Tune in for part 2. I'll see you then.